Deja vu, Prince Harry's visa nightmare continues.
And a rare mention from the Prince of Wales about his brother.
Hello and welcome to Heirs and Spares, the show where we bring you insight and opinion into the lives of two rather famous royal couples on either side of the Atlantic. I'm Kinsey Schofield, and I'll be bringing you updates on the Duke and Duchess of Sussex right here in California.
And refreshed after my holiday in Portugal. No, I wasn't looking out for Harry and Meghan's house. I got the news on the Prince and Princess of Wales.
Wonderful. Yeah. I'm very jealous of you because I think you have access to Prince William's upcoming ITV documentary, Prince William, Can End Homelessness. The Princess of Wales, or the Prince of Wales, is doing this incredible documentary that we actually touched base on previously. I'm a little embarrassed because the last time we talked about it, you were super smart. I'm going to give you credit, but I went on and on about how I loved that he didn't mention his mom because he was owning this this homelessness initiative. He was owning it, and how I felt like Harry and Meghan kind of utilized the late Princess of Wales to manipulate the public and the media. And I was like, I'm so glad that Prince William has kind of owned this and said that this is my own thing. And you were quick to say, well, we haven't seen it yet, but. And here we are today. He does mention his mom. I look like an idiot, although it is in a very sweet and organic way. It doesn't feel as needy as Harry and or intentional as Harry and Meghan do it. Like when Harry says, "My wife is basically the second coming of Princess Diana." What is your take on some of the clips you've seen so far?
Well, I think we have to take it that in a way, his referencing his mother is the reason that he became aware of homelessness, because of her work and showing to both Harry and also to William the situation. It's not all palaces. There is a seedy, sad side to life, and homelessness is the most desperate situation for all and sundry. So the Princess Diana was very keen to make sure that the children understood that there is life beyond the gilded circle, and some pretty brutal things. So while they were having a very comfortable childhood, I think that it reflects the Princess of Wales's, the late Princess of Wales's desire to make sure her children were as grounded as possible. And from his early age, that's how he discovered, well, that homelessness was something that he felt he could contribute to. And with referencing his brother, it really is a way of saying, this is what his mother was trying to impress upon the two boys. So it's not much of a mention. It's in past.
Pump the brakes. We're going to get there. Pump the brakes, Rupert. That's an entirely different story. So I need you to chill out here. You're too excited with the vodka and tonic. Okay.
I've had one sip so far, actually, Kinsey. So give me a break, okay?
All right. So he did say, when I was very small, my mother started talking about homelessness, much like I do now with my children on the school run. So that's an interesting little insight to imagine Prince William in the car talking to Prince George or Princess Charlotte about something that his mother had exposed him to. You just kind of mentioned this. He confesses that he occasionally feels remorse over not being able to do more, and he hopes to instill in his children a sense of empathy for those facing difficulties in their lives. Do you think we might see Prince George with Prince William pursuing some of these things the way that we saw Prince William next to Princess Diana once he was a teenage boy?
I think there's every chance in a way, because William has to do, he's going to be the future king. He's got to make sure that his son understands the big wide world and all its facets. And there are bad sides. I mean, I'm not sure on the drive from Windsor to a school at Lambrook. It's a pretty leafy suburb, but I'm not sure it would be an area that would be how much homelessness is in that area. But I'm sure, because he will be talking about his work with homeless, and it is something that is ingrained in him. He wants to feel that it can achieve something. I'm pretty sure, it would be his dream to end homelessness. But let's obviously say the reality is that's going to be too much. But what he really wants to do is to make sure that people who can find a way out of their predicament and enable people in wherever the various towns. I think there are various projects sort of that are pilots, as it were, for this. And he wants to see, could this be rolled out across the country? He can really give the shop window to fundraising. It is a difficult situation because there are political sides to it, so he's got to navigate that. But in a way, his role within this is understanding the situation, but by his profile, he can help bring people together to try and offer a means to an end for people who find themselves in these desperate circumstances, that they can get a leg up out of their situation and maybe find accommodation, find work, you name it. That's really what he wants to see happen.
Yeah, I think I probably say this far too often, but something that really impresses me about Prince William and the Princess of Wales is how they hold themselves accountable, but their initiatives seem so tangible. For instance, with some of Prince William's homelessness initiatives, you see him introducing different community members and how are these people going to collaborate to ensure that they find a solution for X, Y, and Z. And to actually see that visually, it gives you a lot of confidence in him, and it gives you a lot of confidence in the project. And it's nice to see something actually come to fruition, even if it's something as small as an introduction, because it gives you a lot of faith in the project, and you feel like they're doing something more than shaking hands and smiling for the cameras. Can you dissect something for me, though? BBC said in an article, if passion projects reveal something about what drives someone, then perhaps his support for the Passage charity is key to unlocking Prince William's character. What does that tell you? How do you respond to that sentence? What about his support for the Passage charity? What does that say about his character?
Oh, I think he does genuinely care. He realizes he's in a very privileged position. He's not worried about food on the table. He's got all the privileges a man and his family could want. So what he feels, and I think this is why he knows he has to try and give back and be seen positively trying to give back. Now, you might say this is a very grand project, what he's embarking on, but it is absolutely right. He wants to feel the royal family has a sense of purpose, and it's something that the rest of the country can applaud. They are not just, as you say, going around opening there's a plaque opening a sports hall, but seeing some real positive change. It may be slow, but this is a grand project. But I know that this is something that is very dear to his heart. It's a bit like when the king set up what is now the King's Trust. That was to try and help. He was passionate about trying to help young people get a leg up and give grants to people with interesting ideas and from less fortunate backgrounds. They could have a business, get a grant to help them set up their business. So in a way, this is William's project. Is with others, the air ambulance. He's been very obvious about something dear to his heart. But homelessness, I think we have to say that is his numero uno, along with the Earthshot prize as well.
Yeah, and if you think back, people within the palace, perhaps the gray suits, before they were officially tagged the gray suits, were hesitant about the prince's trust, and they kind of tried to sway him away from the prince's trust. And if you look at what the king's trust has accomplished today, it's incredibly respected. It's changed people's lives. Idris Elba will scream from the rooftops that he is the successful entrepreneur, entertainer that he is today because of the help he received from the Prince's Trust. I could list off 13 other celebrities right off the top of my head, and I imagine that there's more. And I only say celebrities because they say I wouldn't be in the position that I am in today if it weren't for King Charles and the Prince's or King's Trust. So I look at any sort of criticism that Prince William is receiving today, and it kind of it's easier to ignore it, knowing that Prince Charles at the time received some pushback on the prince's trust.
Well, yes, and this is a long term. He's playing a long game here, and it's not something that's going to happen. He wants to probably say in 5 years, have these various projects had any? What is the success rate in turning people's lives around? You're never going to get rid of homelessness completely. But we know, walking down the streets, wherever town, my local town, Stratford-upon-Avon, it is desperately sad that there are people who feel, they have no home over their roofs, a roof over their heads. So it is desperately sad. And it's all over the country, but at least he's trying to do something. He can bring the publicity to the venture. This is not an overnight sort of panacea. It will not be something that will just cure it like that. But I hope that in 5 years' time, there will be lots of testimonies similar to what we've seen from the King's Trust of people who say, thank you very much. They gave me the means to an end to get my life back on track. And that's what he ultimately wants. And we wish him well. It is a political minefield at times. But if this does bring some change, then the Prince of Wales, William, will be able to see, well, this is really good. And then hopefully his children coming along will see we too have got to find a way of giving back to society. And this is William's way.
All right, we're finally here, Rupert. Prince William says, my mother took me to the Passage. She took Harry and I both there. I must have been about 11, I think, probably at the time, maybe 10. I'd never been to anything like that before, and I was a bit anxious as to what to expect. This has been grossly exaggerated as an olive branch to Prince Harry, Rupert. Has Harry set the bar so low for communication and respect for one another that we are considering William saying Harry's name out loud anything beyond basic communication?
It would be odd if he didn't mention in this documentary his brother, the backstory. And of course, I'm sure he's sad that the breakdown with his brother, because they were very close. They looked after each other, and that's what's so sad about it. So an olive branch, no. The only way the olive branch is going to happen is if Harry eats some serious humble pie and says, "Sorry, bro, I've messed up."
Big time. Yeah, but have you noticed in Prince Harry's interviews, and I'm happy to go back and correct myself if I'm wrong, but he typically says my father and my brother. Prince William could have easily said my brother, but he did say Harry, so I understand why there was an acknowledgement of him saying his name. But for 34 years at least of Prince William's life, Prince Harry was probably the most important man in his life, the most important friend, the most important family member.
You're absolutely right. And we saw even, when the three of them used to be, there was a powerful, three, with Harry, with the Princess of Wales and the Prince of Wales. They were a powerful combo. And so it is just sad that it then disintegrated. And, Harry didn't feel that he could maintain it because we can see the link. Up until that time, they were doing lots of good work together. It must pain William that it's not, they don't have the same relationship. But, we know this can happen in families. But for him to just reference Harry, I just see that as, probably just decent manners in many ways. Exactly. And not trying to, saying brother, then people will say, oh, look, that's Frosty. He says brother, then we go the other way. So he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. And so my view is at least he referenced the fact that their mother was very important in giving them the outlet to understand what homelessness was all about.
It just occurred to me as we were having this discussion, seeing so much of Harry and Meghan working separately today, that could have been the solution pretty early on. They could have stayed within the royal fold. Harry could have continued to do events. If Meghan didn't want to do it, girl, stay home with the kids. Nobody's going to critique you if you want to be a stay-at-home mom and raise your babies. We could have seen Prince Harry continue to be the third wheel with, jokingly, the third wheel with the Prince and Princess of Wales, and they could have continued that clearly successful strategy that that beautiful unity that they had that attracted so many cameras and so much excitement. Because now that we're seeing Harry and Meghan work together or work apart so often, and we're hearing about this solo strategy or whatever, you think perhaps you guys could have had this idea sooner. You try, maybe you brought Meghan in too soon, obviously. And why couldn't you have pursued these solo ventures earlier on? Because everything, aside from the fact that they left within days of a global plague shutting down the world, and had they had a little bit of patience, everything probably would have worked its way out. But how sad to think about the fact that now Prince Harry is truly solo. And had they just had a little more patience at the beginning of everything and kept things the way that they were, inevitably Meghan could have sat back and said, you know what, this isn't for me. I'm going to stay at home with the kids or whatever. And Harry could continue to work with his brother and sister-in-law.
Well, I think you've got an element of wishful thinking there because I'm not
100%,
sure.
100%. My glass half full is on full display
Uh,
right now.
I'm afraid Meghan didn't like being the supporting actress,
No.
and that was the problem. We know that was the problem. She just did not see why. The royal family is not a paid gig. Okay, there's money from the state. You can look at it in many ways. It's a service. It's a life of service. That's what being the royal family. You are born to serve your nation. And sadly, when you are the younger brother, unfortunately, you can't get the top job unless something unfortunate happens to your brother. But now that's not even going to happen. They're down the pecking order. And Meghan didn't like that. Yes, she loved the wedding where she had the billion audience and she was center stage, but then it all unraveled. And then Harry was obviously probably put under a bit of pressure. And it's just sad because it could have worked. And we've seen that when he's on his own, he still does good stuff. I just think it's frustrating for everybody that Harry's life has gone this way. So maybe they've suddenly realized that actually him getting out there, doing what he was trained to do, yes, it may be in a slightly different guise. It's his charities, but he does bring people together, and he can. Well, child, like him, some of those African charities. Okay, one or two of them got a few issues, but he does genuinely have a way of connecting with people when the pressure's off. And I feel that at the moment, yes, he's chosen this life. And if it makes them a more commercially viable couple by going their separate ways, then that, for Harry, if that gives him the confidence to branch out and do the way he thinks he wants to do, which is the charity work probably, then kick on. But it is sad that it's had to come to this. But, it doesn't take the brains of an archbishop to work out why this happened.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. While you were gone, there were a couple of quotes from the former editor of Vanity Fair, Tina Brown, former editor of Tatler, Tina Brown, that blew up. And I mean, really, she's talking about Harry and Meghan's colossal failure in Hollywood. Now, I saw the list for Prince William's Earthshot Prize and some of the celebrities that are expected to attend, and some of the celebrity quotes. I mean, this is happening earlier in November, Cape Town, South Africa. I know this is Prince William's environmental initiative seeking to offer green solutions to some of the world's most pressing issues, the Earthshot Prize. I mean, it's exciting because, again, this is another example of tangible things. We see how this product that somebody created in the middle of nowhere could change the way that our oceans, could change the health of our oceans and all sorts of things like that. But they have Emmy, Grammy, and Tony Award winner actor Billy Porter, who is set to co-host the ceremony. And Billy said, "I'm so inspired by the Earthshot community, and I can't wait to be a part of an evening that celebrates creativity, human ingenuity, and artistry in all of its different forms." Supermodel Heidi Klum is expected to walk the green carpet. Supermodel Winnie Harlow, actress Nina Dobrev. These are people that Meghan Markle would really love to have on her side, that Meghan would love to collaborate with. Do you think that they see events like this and see the good press that Prince William generates and think, to stay on this topic, what could have been? Or do you think that they ever acknowledge that they might have made some mistakes along the way and that's why they can't have opportunities like this today?
Well, I think the celebrities, they like their PR picture to be a positive one, and
Yeah.
they know that sadly, well, depends on your viewpoint, but Meghan and Harry don't always get positive press, particularly in this country. It probably less on the radar in the United States, but something like the Earthshot Prize with the future King of England does have of the United Kingdom a cachet, and he is a very popular figure. And this is a very good initiative. And so it's good PR for celebrities. I must admit, the people you've mentioned there, some of them have just gone over my radar. They haven't really embraced my life, but I'm sure they're big because if you've mentioned them, Kinsey, they are obviously big time celebrities. But one or two of them, I would say,
I would assume that you have a picture of Heidi Klum,
well,
somewhere in your home. What do I know?
well,
I digress.
well, that's the only one I actually do remember. But I think she's got a fashion line. I think my wife keeps buying handbags with
Oh,
Heidi Klum's
so
name.
cute. I love that.
Anyway, at least that's about as far as it goes. But she's got her own money, so it's nothing to do with me. So just getting that in before anyone says she's fully entitled. But anyway, that's the only one I'd heard of. I think it is very important that if you've got celebrity endorsement, they do not want to be associated with people who are a slightly toxic brand. And we know at the moment, Meghan and Harry have a degree of toxicity about them, which doesn't always endear themselves to the celebrity culture of your country. So there will be an element of the ones who come forward know that being in Cape Town with Prince William is not a bad PR move on that particular celebrity's account.
Yeah, that you just saying the word toxic. I've been asked so many times today to talk about this story that's trending that this publicist said Harry and Meghan's brand are toxic. And I'm like, hi, welcome to Rupert and I's conversations for the last 6 months to a year. We've used that word pretty frequently. Welcome to the party. We
Mm.
provide BYOB, but we've said this 1,000 times before, whatever. I want to talk to you about this headline from the Daily Beast. I feel like it's a little nefarious. I feel like they're being a little they're troublemakers, okay? Because they say Prince William and Kate, we call her Catherine. Prince William
Mm.
and Kate plot Christmas coup on King Charles. According to the Daily Beast, our beloved royal Christmas customs are facing the chop due to King Charles's health crisis. They claim that the Prince and Princess of Wales are expected to put a heavy stamp on the royal Christmas this year, meaning Prince William and Catherine are expected to host a rival Christmas party at their home in the Sandringham estate, on the Sandringham estate, Anner Hall, with the Middleton family in attendance. This will likely be a special Christmas for the Wales family, Rupert. It was just a year ago that they likely started to sense that there were health issues in their family, correct?
Yes, because we saw her on Christmas Day, then we saw her again for some time. So you're absolutely right. It would have been over that Christmas period. Now, Amner Hall is obviously big enough to host. And actually, I'm not going to I don't think there's too much to read in this because, in a way, the king does need to rest. If he's got a gaggle of his family around, it's quite hard work. Now, I know there are plenty of people to stuff the turkey and do the cooking and all that stuff, and they go to church. But if they're at Amner Hall, they can still do. And having the Middletons, and bearing in mind that the Princess of Wales's mother has probably been doing plenty of help, it would be over this year and supporting her daughter as any mother would. It doesn't feel wrong. This seems to be, they're just not staying at Sandringham. Well, if they're at Amner Hall, they're not a million miles away. So it's not as if they're not, they might be all sitting around the giant Christmas table in Sandringham, tucking into however many turkeys they need to feed this extended family. But be staying in Amner Hall, I think, seems nothing unusual. We don't need to overanalyze it. I think I could see it. To me, it just would be a non-story. The Middletons with their daughter and with their son-in-law and their grandchildren, but the other family will still get to spend Christmas and see them. So, and they're there probably for long enough that actually it will probably seem business as usual. So if you're going to fly over on Christmas Eve to go and pitch your position at Sandringham, I think you might get a fix of them all anyway.
Exactly. I agree. Like I felt like this was a troublemaking headline, somebody just looking to stir the you know what pot. Now, the Daily Beast does say that friends of the royal family admit the extended family members who were invited to Sandringham last year, like Prince Andrew and Fergie, are waiting to see how the king's health holds up in the coming months before making their holiday plans. However, Rupert, the Express reported over the weekend that King Charles and Queen Camilla will resume a full schedule of royal tours next year. A senior palace official has said that the king genuinely loved the 9-day tour of Australia and thrived on the busy program of engagements. They added that it has lifted his spirits, his mood, and his recovery. In that sense, the tour, despite its demands, has been the perfect tonic, quite like your beverage in your hand. So does that make you lean in the direction of a classic royal Christmas? You know, do you think that we probably will see? I mean, I guess you've already answered that question. To me, it doesn't sound like much has changed. We're hearing that the king's doing great. He's planning for the future.
I think it's very important what he did in Australia and Samoa. And as you say, lifted his spirits because he must be, because he's not someone who likes to sit down much. And his wife has had to, at times probably put a restraining order on him. So it's not easy. But I think it would have been good for him. He loves Australia. And he does really get his role as head of the Commonwealth. And so for him to be able to do a normal visit, okay, probably a very managed timetable, appreciative of his recovery. And remember, it's the other side of the world, gets their 28-hour flight or something, back from Samoa, back to the UK. So it's not easy. But I think it's the king wants to be out and about. He hates just sitting back. Okay, he might be having the odd meeting. He wants to go out and meet people. That's what he thrives on. And I think it has to be seen as a positive influence that the doctors obviously were there to manage and make sure he was all right. But there seemed to be no indication that he flagged throughout. And it was quite a demanding visit, particularly the Samoan one with the heads of Commonwealth. There was a lot going on there, sort of the soft politics of the king and, all the issues about reparations. And there's a lot of backstory around that. But actually to see the king out and about, I think that's an encouraging sign for all and sundry that he's going to try and get back to business as usual. Bearing in mind, he is 75 or 76. He's not a young man. So even if you are recovering from cancer, you're still physically going to be finding it tougher work than if you were, say, in his 50s. But he's now got a chance to do his kingly duties as he would see fit under as normal circumstances as possible. And that means being on the road because in many ways the country needs him, because the soft politics of the royal family is one of the key elements of the reason we have a royal family, because it cuts through. There's no political agenda, but what goes on back behind the scenes is the important bit of the royal family. When they go on state visits, they bring a entourage that is able to do the soft politics of being the head of being a part of the royal family and Britain on the global stage.
That's right. There's so much that we don't see that goes on that's so crucial to the future of your country. I wanted to ask you, since it just occurred to me, we haven't really caught up since Australia. Richard Palmer for The Eye wrote a story over the weekend titled "Royal Tours May Soon Be Over for Good Due to Anger Over Slavery, Harry and Meghan." You just referenced Samoa and the reparations conversation. We saw that interruption at Parliament House in Australia. To me, it feels like, and you feel free to disagree with me, but I wonder if people have more confidence in being disruptive and being confrontational towards the royal family because of Harry and Meghan. And that's a little bit of what I picked up from Richard Palmer's piece. Do people feel like they have an open invitation to get in their face today, because for the last 4 years, Harry and Meghan have been screaming racists and lobbing grenades in their direction.
I think possibly overanalyzing it.
Okay.
I think you have to look at Australia. They, in essence, have a Republican prime minister. He's expressed that but I think the reaction of people, yes, there was this one demonstration, in high profile though it may have been. The king takes a pretty phlegmatic view to all of this, appreciates that not everyone's going to agree with him being head of Australia, New Zealand, or wherever. Times have moved on. But I think at the moment you'll find that in Australia, it's probably not the most pressing thing on their agenda. And for the time being, he will continue to be the head of state there. The Commonwealth is a much more complicated beast, but it's a very important beast for Britain globally, because as we saw, lots of countries, the Caribbean, but our prime minister, by all accounts, has said we won't be paying a penny, but it's obviously going to be a political discussion. And it's going to be one that somehow it's going to be a government decision. The royal family can ply their trade and do their thing, but I easily see various countries no longer wanting the royal family or Britain, have their head of state being the British king. Time has moved on. The king takes, as we saw in Barbados, a very sensible view that if the people of Barbados decided they wanted to change, then so be it. That's the way they view it. They will never, ever make a stand and saying, well, this is the worst thing ever. They don't. It's not in their power. It's not in their remit to do that. So, yes, there will be demonstrations, but Harry and Meghan being the cause for it, I'm not so sure. I don't think that's the reason. I think it's a country by country basis that the country is maybe maturing and saying we need a change.
And since this is heirs and spares, do you feel like Prince William feels the same way that his father does, that if somebody wants to dismiss the monarchy, he's open to it? He feels that that's their right.
In a way, he's got no choice.
Yeah.
He has to accept the status quo of those people. We are no longer, the world has moved on. When we were ruling an empire, the world was a very different place. We are now no longer the global power that we once were. So for Prince William, it's not in his remit to have anything and say if a country wants to. Now, it could be. Now, we saw an article recently from someone saying, that he's just a West London man. If, people wouldn't, if he, morning after the Queen, someone making some statements, the Foreign Secretary's advisor made some comments about the royal family that didn't put them in a very flattering light. So, but Prince William, he knows that he has to bring people along with him. And by doing this kind of global projects like Earthshot and the homelessness, it means that he's trying not to be out of touch with things that actually lots of people can care about. The environment is a huge global talking point. Whatever side you come from, people talk about it, and he is trying to put himself out there by doing something that is possibly helping other countries than just Britain. So I think he's not naive. He's not a stupid man.
I learned in my whale class, because I'm studying to become a naturalist, that the earth is over 70% water. So when Prince William is helping develop things that save our oceans, he truly is touching the entire world, Rupert. How beautiful is
that? Have you got time to do that? That's the question.
Yeah, I'm a little sleep, let me tell you.
Well, so what would you have a series? Will you have a series of letters after your name?
I don't think so. I wish I was, but no, I just am going to be able to point at something and say, that's California sea lion.
Right. Okay. Right. Fine. Well, I'm in one of the most landlocked places in the UK, furthest from the sea. My little town.
Come visit me and I'll take you out and I'll show you all my whales. I'll show you my whales. We even have orcas sometimes. But I'm excited to see what Earthshot develops this year. We're only a few weeks away or days away at this point, so that'll be exciting to see what happens.
I did read an article with people saying, well, why is the Princess of Wales not going? You see people putting out, why she, well, let's be honest, she's not traveling anywhere, and she's children and she's still recovering. Yeah, lovely if she was well, I imagine she might be there. But let's be honest, since January, she's had we don't know the full details, but it's a long road back for full fitness for her. So going to South Africa is just not on the agenda. So people are looking at things and saying, well, why is she not going? Well, she never was going to go.
Yeah.
But I'm sure
I did have this exact thought though, and I just haven't had a way to express or an opportunity to express it. We have seen Prince William and Catherine pursue their own, their own interests, their own passions. Harry and Meghan separating professionally is newsworthy because for several years we watched them literally clinging to each other. I mean, it is physical. They call it the claw on the internet. Meghan's hands around Harry. We have physically seen them clinging to each other. And I think that is why there is this real interest. And Spotify deal, Harry and Meghan's Spotify deal. Then Meghan's the only one to produce content. Netflix, Harry and Meghan's Netflix deal. And I think that it's newsworthy with Harry and Meghan because they were launched as a team and they are so physically connected to one another when we do rarely see them in real life. And that's why there is a difference in conversation surrounding Harry and Meghan's separation professionally and William and Catherine pursuing their separate passions. But you're right. A lot of this is also around the Princess of Wales' health.
Well, the health is talking about. We've talked about the King's health. It's tough on William. For Meghan and Harry, they've been, they were stuck together like a couple of limpet mines. And, now they've slightly severed it. It's going to be interesting because he's got this polo documentary coming out, I believe, at the beginning of December. And the silence is deafening about America Riviera Orchard. But, I mean, you're in California. You might have heard grapevine about things possibly launching or anything, but it seems to have been, the silence is deafening. If I'm proved wrong, then fine. They're going to launch in a blaze of glory and away they go. She's joined a new a podcast agency. I thought that was going to be a means to her to get back out on the podcast beat again. But it's a tough one. To make a successful podcast, you see Mike Tyndall and his rugby chums doing one, which is very popular, but there are very few. And you actually have to find a way of engaging with your public. Now, okay, we're doing one. Right, okay, well, we take our chance and we live or die by what we say here, but no worries. I can always have another vodka and tonic if it goes pear-shaped. But the fact of the matter is, I thought they were going to be saving this new podcast company. Nothing. It is the drip feed is, it's odd.
Yeah.
And unless they've got some master strategy that is going to blindside us all, and I'm prepared to then eat a very large dose of humble pie, which I will, but at the moment, I'm not sure of their strategy. Now, being separate just might give them the freedom to then, for Meghan, to get back to doing what she was doing on Instagram before and all that, which wasn't unsuccessful. And get back to that. But at the moment...
But from going from princess or duchess to influencer actually makes me die a little inside. I just like RIP me. I mean, my body rejects the thought, but I think you're right. By separating, it does look like they're consistently doing something. And with Prince Harry out there now, Meghan has time to go focus on whatever this is, and maybe we'll be distracted by the fact that Meghan hasn't done anything because we're seeing Prince Harry doing this, although we're not. And I don't know if you saw Richard Eden's story while you were gone. He said that the reason that she launched American Riviera Orchard when she did the way she did by launching the Instagram page and everything was because he had gotten word of its existence and called and asked them for comment. And she was so dead set on not allowing him to have that scoop that she prematurely shot her wad. She prematurely launched this brand with nothing, with absolutely nothing, to ensure that he couldn't have this story and that it wasn't going to be his exclusive. But now it just looks like a completely failed marketing execution, because we're almost a year with absolutely no movement when it comes to American Riviera Orchard.
Well, 16 pots of jam, wasn't it? Uh,
Dog biscuit. Don't forget the dog biscuits.
well, I mean, I hope, I mean, I'd love to have known what it tasted like. Yes, it was beautifully packaged with a lemon in a basket. Well, it was a funny
Peeling
launch.
stickers. Peeling
Eh,
stickers. The stickers were peeling off, Rupert, but okay.
but whatever, it was tacky.
Yeah.
But you know, it's launching something like that. You need a big team around you, and it's a competitive marketplace. I was reading that Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop stuff is struggling. If she's struggling, then what hope has Meghan got to crack the market? Because it's saturated and people will be looking for something else. And unless she's got amazing products that are going to be tapping into the, I don't know, middle American zeitgeist, or the global middle Britain, whatever zeitgeist, people want something from American Riviera Orchard. I think it's restricting it to an American market unless it's amazing, but we're speculating.
Yeah.
Now, there'll be some serious brains at work who are bringing it all together. But I'll look forward to watching her cooking show, and the polo. That's something, because if they fail, then they've got problems with Netflix. But if they're a success, it just might give them an olive branch for them to extend the deal. But they've got to be good. And I don't know about you, but there's a saturated cooking market as well. And whether it be on YouTube, TV, you name it, it's a saturated market, because everyone thinks it's easy. If you to cook a spaghetti carbonara or whatever she's going to be serving up before us.
I think that common sense says that you exploit your strengths, or you exploit what you made a name of, right? We want to see Meghan as a princess. I mean, I know everybody's going to be like, no, but you know what I mean? Common sense says you milk what made you, right? You can't come out as a Playboy model and then decide, I'm going to be a Christian evangelist on YouTube and it's gonna rock. You kind of have to stay in your lane. And so for me, for her to try to become like Martha Stewart, that's not what people bought into. And now people really don't like you. Statistically, analytically, people have turned against you. So it's going to be especially hard to get them to buy whatever it is you're selling.
And particularly when you actually dissing the organization that you joined.
Mm-hmm.
Right. She did not like being the Duchess of Sussex and what that meant within the royal family. She loves being the Duchess of Sussex outside the royal family, but within the royal family, she didn't like it. So that's her PR problem.
Yeah.
She dissed the organization that she's now associated to, yet she doesn't like it. She had this fantasy land about being the beautiful princess saving the royal family. Once she saw inside it, she realized that it's not all it's cracked up to be. Yes, it looks very glamorous, but it's not.
But Rupert, Catherine's made it work. Like, we can't just say like, oh, it's the worst. Catherine's made it work. Camilla's made it work. There are people that are strong enough to make it work. So I totally understand what you're saying. It's not all that it's cracked up to be, but there are people that are mentally strong enough to figure it out and to make it work.
Yeah, you have to. You've got to be a certain kind of person. It certainly wasn't easy for Harry and William's mother, because there was a lot going on, that divorce and everything, the strain, and we were in a bit of a feeding media frenzy of the time. So it must have been unbearable for her. But she was clever. She knew what she was doing at times, but it still was not much fun.
Yeah.
And it was a very different time. But now, but when you think we didn't even have the social media that we have now, which has absolutely sent it into a sort of open minefield. And at times, you've got to see when you look at some of the stuff on social media, I have a huge degree of sympathy for some of the stuff that is said about Meghan and Harry. And you go, oh, come on, back off, people. This is not right. But at the same time, you know that they've got to live or die by their statements. Now, if they don't like the royal family and the institution, then they've got to accept that that comes at a cost. And you don't like it, you didn't like being part of it. So in a way, they've got to find a way of moving on, both commercially and whatever they do. And maybe Harry, by going alone, gets back to his roots. And as you just alluding to, finding what makes him tick. And him being out there doing that charity work is something that makes him happy, and do the projects that give him energy and feel he can provide something positive for. And that can only be to his good effect and sort of mental well-being if he's able to do it, rather than feeling constrained within what his wife's doing, which is what he doesn't really want to do, because he's not somebody who wants to be posing on the Instagram at all times. He wants to be photographed because he needs that publicity. But that's where, okay, well, I'm going up a minefield here, because one minute he doesn't want the publicity.
I know, but it's true. But that's his hypocrisy, not yours. That's his hypocrisy, because that's absolutely true. He says, I hate photographers. Well, then why are you showing up in Jamaica to walk down a red carpet for the Bob Marley movie premiere? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you're in Tinseltown, and everyone needs a red carpet. You know, the oxygen.
Especially Meghan Markle. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she keeps one in the back of her car with the backpacks she has for all the homeless people, that she just rolls it out before she goes into this grocery store every day.
Well, I mean, you know that. Well, obviously, Tinseltown, you know, all actresses and celebrities, actors, everything, the oxygen of a good red carpet and what that can do for your career is so important. And it's, you know, to be seen, you know, you've got to work. The status of the red carpet is a difficult one, and at the moment, you feel Meghan's status on that red carpet is not quite where she would like to be. But you never know. In a year's time, if something she does turns into be a rip-roaring success, she may be in a more better PR position. But her track record, as Tina Brown suggests, is not terrific.
Well, Rupert, we've gone an hour and I completely forgot about our last story. I'm going to throw it away and I'm going to say what we replaced it with. Where the heck is American Riviera Orchard was much more exciting, and discussing Harry and Meghan going their separate ways. I felt like it was much more exciting than Harry's latest visa drama. So, I have so much fun talking to you. It is effortless, Rupert. I have fun with you. I hope you have fun with me. I'm going to patiently wait for you to respond.
I can nurse this vodka and tonic for a very long time, but I'm looking forward to when we finally say goodbye to refreshing it in a dark and gloomy evening chat that I'm having with you, because now the clocks have gone back. It gets dark in the country, but hey ho, it's always a pleasure. I'm refreshed after my holiday, and that was an easy hour.
Look at that marathon man. All right, if you agree with us, disagree with us, let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this chat with a friend. Thanks so much for watching. He's Rupert Bell. I'm Kinsey Schofield. Bye.